Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all of you to the third seminar in this series of seminars that we are organizing under the FedEx IITM Center for Smart and Sustainable Logistics. Today, we have a very exciting talk by Professor Jitesh Thakkar. And in the center, we are like a fledgling bird, which is gaining wings. And each of the talks that we hear in the center makes us stronger, and we get a better understanding of the logistics world, and also augments the problems that we want to solve. We look forward to the talk by Professor Jitesh Thakkar, and it would have been great if he had been here. And Professor Rashinder Kaur knows him much better than me, and I request her to introduce Professor Thakkar. Rashinder.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Ryan Swami. A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a great pleasure today to have Professor Jitesh Thakkar with us. Uh, I think most of us know him, but it's a great opportunity for me because we have been colleagues and good friends. It's a great opportunity for me to introduce to the audience. He's currently working as Dean Academics and professor in Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. This is India's first university in transportation and logistics sector, and I think it is very much aligned with our latest new logistics policy, which has been developed by government recently. And it is wonderful, as Professor Ryan Swami have said, that we have just initiated the activities under this center, and I'm sure such talks and having professionals like Professor Jitesh Thakkar would really add value to this center. Professor Jitesh has done PhD from IIT Delhi, and he has worked in IIT Kharagpur as professor, and he is a gold medalist and in the BTech, but onwards also, he has got good recognitions, like he was listed in the world ranking of top 2% scientists by Stanford University, and he has actually published three books which are in very important topics of project management, multi-criteria decision making, and structural equation modeling. They are the building blocks of research methodology, and other I would say the other recognitions can be seen as he has H index of 40, and he has published around 100 or more than 100 research papers in very reputed journals. And now he has actually moved from IIT Kharagpur to a very different kind of institute, from technical to now in the transportation. Earlier it was in a National Railways and Transportation Institute, which is now become the Gati Shakti. I'm sure he has a lot to share with us, like how was this transition, and what are the new goals and directions of this institute with us. So very happy to have Professor Jitesh Thakkar here. So Professor Jitesh, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Ashinder, for your kind words, and Professor Narayan Swami and the Miss Geeta, all the students for scheduling this talk and giving me an opportunity to share whatever little I have experienced during during couple of years, and specifically while working at Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, where we get an opportunity to interact with many people in the logistics and transportation sector. So I would like to touch a couple of points before I really move to my main topic, that is emerging challenges in transportation and logistics sector. A bit about my university, about the talk. I would like to highlight, because lot many things are happening, and as a part of that, FedEx has in fact established one of the very important center, and Professor Narayan Swami and Professor Ashinder are leading the initiatives at IIT Madras. So I would try to position all such kind of initiatives taking place across India in terms of aspirations, inspirations, and couple of actions that our country is taking. Emerging challenges for transportation and logistics sector. I would be happy to share my recent research contributions in the transportation and logistics. Specifically, I included the highlights of three papers which are published mainly in the intermodal transportation with rail as a focus, and what are the emerging research areas in transportation and logistics sector. So, as a researcher and having been associated with couple of journals, what I see today and the kind of efforts made by the contemporary researchers, I just gathered, and this may help the researchers in this group to identify a couple of issues for their future research. And then I would like to extend a couple of recommendations for transportation and logistics executives if they are part of this particular webinar. So, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya was established in 2022 by the Act of Parliament, and this university has a very unique mandate that it will focus on entire transportation sector, all modes of transport through multidisciplinary teaching, research, executive training, and skilling. So when we are funded by Ministry of Railway, our scope is not limited to railway. It spans across all modes of transport. And I would just quickly present the portfolio, academic portfolio at GSV that will help you to appreciate the expanding scope of this university. This is the framework at present. We are just 14, 15 months old. So we have School of Technology, School of Management. Obviously, both these schools are totally dedicated in the domains of transportation and logistics, Center for Executive and Continuing Education, and Center for Policy. So this is our present academic portfolio. We offer as a part of School of Technology various BTech program, but you can see that there is a specialization in railway engineering. But as I mentioned, we started with more courses in railway as our funding agency is railway. But gradually now we have included aviation engineering, and recently we have signed MOU with Airbus, and they are helping us to establish this program at GSV. We have offered MTech program for working professionals, intelligent transport system, railway engineering. Management stream, we are offering MBA logistics and supply chain management, MBA ports and shipping logistics, maritime, MBA for exclusively for working professional. Again, we have included logistics and supply chain, multimodal transportation, and we have also signed MOU with Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, and jointly we are offering a program MBA in Metro Rail Management. From this particular year, we have also started Ph.D. in engineering, Ph.D. in management, specifically for working professionals related to transportation and logistics sector. So broadly, our academic portfolio encompasses different modes of transport, technology domain, that is infrastructure domain, and management, that is the service and policy domain. So coming to the talk of this particular session, so we all know that transportation and logistics sector, it has a very, very critical role to play, and we always emphasize that logistics cost in India is 14%. I would come to some of my critique on this 14% and what way this can be interpreted. But yes, we all are concerned that when we are about 150 crore population, and this logistics, specifically with e-commerce and other businesses are growing, if it is 14%, how to really ensure our competitiveness? So in light of this, I have gathered a couple of questions to maybe give a structure to this talk. Why is the transportation and logistics sector highly critical and important? What are the key challenges faced by transportation and logistics sector? What are the emerging trends and opportunities? What are the key initiatives by Government of India to enhance competitiveness of transport sector? And as I mentioned, I would like to touch a couple of contemporary initiatives and research opportunities in transportation and logistics sector. So if we look at the aspirational India's goal, we are really aspiring to become $5 trillion economy. Merchandise export, we are aiming to $1 trillion. The most important enabler to achieve all the aspirations is to significantly reduce our logistics cost from 14% to 9% or 8%, rather I would say single digit. And this has significant impact in terms of savings. So almost 4 lakh crore can be saved. So in supply chain, we always talk about supply chain surplus. And if this much of surplus is available, certainly it will add to our domestic as well as global competitiveness for manufacturing industry. Next generation capacity building. So when the population is growing, demand curve is escalating all the time, we have to build our infrastructure and capacity in line with that. And that is where I will make a mention about PM Gati Shakti master plan and the various initiatives government is taking. Capturing major share of global logistics market. So $6.9 trillion by 2026. Logistics market needs, as we know, IT driven, IoT driven solutions. There is huge data set available, and in what way this data set can be exploited to derive the optimal solutions for the industry, and that is where there is a great market ahead, and create 22 million job opportunities. So this sector is next to agriculture in India, and it has a tremendous opportunity to provide employment, and this figure is somewhere around 22 million job opportunities. Transportation and logistics sector, just I tried to map in terms of aspirations and actions. So yes, the cost is high, but we are not silent. It is a highly complex in terms of market size, geographical reach. We are not like Japan, where maybe it is just like our one state, and within 12 hours or 10 hours you can move from one say corner to other corner of the country. So we have a huge geographical reach, and in that sense also, comparing our logistics cost with maybe the country like Japan, sometimes we do, and I have also included, requires little caution. Variety of modes of transport, yes, we have very good road network, we have very good, say, railway network, and similarly we have very good connectivity through water and ships, port transport. So types of transportation services and the number of shippers. So India has shown tremendous growth in terms of logistics service providers, third-party logistics service provider, courier services, and many other enabling services. PM Gati Shakti Master Plan, it is 110 lakh crore, which is almost about $1.2 trillion USD. And if you compare it with our economy, then our economy is about 300 lakh crore, 3.57 trillion. So it is just one third of size of India's economy. So this signifies the importance of transportation and logistics sector, that our government has committed 110 lakh, one third of our economy, to build a sound and sustainable infrastructure in transport sector. India's ports handles about cargo of 795 million tons through 13 major ports. This is a huge volume. Indian Railway aims to increase freight traffic from 1.1 billion to 3.3 billion tons. We all are talking about multimodal logistics, shifting the share from road to rail in order to curb the carbon emission and congestion. So that is something where Indian Railway is aiming really high. Largest road network we have, 42.36 lakh kilometer, and it carries almost 60% of the total freight and 87% of the passenger traffic. If you look at aviation, then airports has doubled from 74 in 2014 to 148 in 2023, and freight traffic, which is really gaining importance in aviation also, so has the potential to reach 17 million tons in the next couple of years. In order to meet our aspirations, there are many actions government has taken, like ULIP, Unified Logistics Interface Platform, is designed for supporting application program interface and to provide real-time information to various stakeholders. 100 PM Gati Shakti cargo terminals to support multimodal logistics activities in India are on the way, and many are in the place and operational. And PM Gati Shakti Master Plan aims to integrate 16 ministries. At present, some level of integration took place, but despite that, there are silos. Ministries are taking their decisions in isolation, and many a times this duplication of effort, of lack of traceability and visibility uh, are the prime reasons for compromising our logistics efficiencies. So, if you look at some of the concrete actions that government of India has taken to convert our to the actions to support aspirations, or rather to convert our aspirations into the tangible actions, there are two most important initiatives. One, how do we ensure adequate infrastructure? And that is where, as I mentioned, more than say one third of our economy spending is ensured for PM Gati Shakti Master Plan, and the expectations is to ensure multimodal and last mile connectivity. The other side, we have, let us say, infrastructure in place, but we have dedicated freight corridor, we have highways. So once all this port infrastructure and other infrastructure is in place, we must have a sound policy to ensure the optimal utilization of this infrastructure, and we need to have enabling services. So when you look at the national logistics policy and the key principles of NLP, then it ensures the presence of necessary enablers in the ecosystem of transportation, that is services, processes, technology adoption, human resource development, and integrated planning, to see that our dream of achieving logistics cost in single digit through extensive development in the infrastructure really becomes a reality. If I just look at the two different perspectives which are converging into the common aspiration, the one side there is government, and on the other side there is a industry, there is a sector. So transportation and logistics sector, as I mentioned, is highly complex in terms of geography, in terms of market, in terms of policies, in terms of modes of transport, and variety of consumer needs. It requires an integrated approach. So if you look at government, then it has the objective to bring all the ministries together through a common platform. If you look at the sector, then they want to have enabling infrastructure and services both. Government is concerned about participative implementation with the spirit of cooperative federalism. On the other side, sector expects as an end result seamless multimodal, intermodal interconnect and agreed model share. So not that negative externalities should come into play, where road may have to compromise with their revenue at the when the rail will start grabbing the share, but it should improve rather the revenue and surplus for both the sectors or all the sector through improved coordination. Government is more putting effort in data relating to basic infrastructure, logistics asset, socio-economic data. On the other hand, sector is more concerned about sub-sectoral integration through adoption of digital technologies, integration with economic ecosystem, internal logistic infrastructure, and overall adapting the supply chain perspective. When I look at these two diverse but say converging perspectives from government and sector side, there is a strong need for talented and specialized manpower. As I mentioned, this sector needs more than 22 million qualified resource to support this growing infrastructure and the enabling ecosystem. And that is something where government has realized that when we are having this PM Gati Shakti master plan and many enablers through national logistics policy, there is a need when IITs, IIMs, and many premier institutions in India, they are significantly contributing to the requirement of logistics and transportation sector. Government realized a need for establishing a dedicated university, and that is where this Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya and its existence took place. So if you look at GDP, in terms of GDP logistics cost, yes, we compare with developed country. I have a little reservation while comparing it with Japan. Maybe the geographical coverage and diversity is not comparable with India. But yes, as a commonality, maybe USA, Germany, and Japan, their logistics cost is really helping their industry to be competitive. And that is something where we are also aspiring. But I would like to just share my concerns and maybe some of the critique when we talk about this 14%. Is it realistic? So, in my knowledge, there is still a need. So, specifically for the researching group to examine this 14%. And why examining this 14%? Because we are in the process of building infrastructure. So I don't know how this 14% exactly is counted because there is not much clarity about the subcomponent of this particular cost at the micro level. But if it shares some of the percentage with the ongoing infrastructure development, then certainly this cost would be beat on the higher side, and that is not a problem. So we need to assess that is it realistic, and there is a need to conduct more studies on this. It may be higher. I'm not conservative about 14%. It may be higher side or it may be on the lower side. But when we are investing huge money in capacity building, there is a need to examine this figure. Do we have mechanism to evaluate these, and what are the elements of logistics cost at micro level? If we really look at and take a snapshot of our transportation sector and the economy and the business is growing, then yes, our LPI has significantly improved. World competitiveness index has improved, and ease of doing business has come to 63 in 2022-23 from 142 maybe in 2014. So this very much describes that yes, the businesses are growing and they need enabling and strong mechanism of logistics and transportation to flourish and become internationally competitive. On the other hand, as a researcher, couple of critique may come to your mind that yes, we are improving in terms of LPI, World Competitiveness Index and other, but what is our quality of life? So that is something where sustainability concern also need to be embedded. And now all the research, whatever we refer, they are always considering all the three: economic, social, and environmental sustainability while talking about the capacity expansion or the developments in the nation. So quality of life, then reliable availability of goods and services. Yes, if we realize that the reliability of goods and services has been improved, then certainly the transport and logistics sector has gained the momentum in our country. And not only the day-to-day life and the regular functions, but many parts of our country, as we know, they are disaster prone, let it be any kind of natural disaster. And what is our disaster response and management system means how we can invoke the key attributes of our transportation and logistics sector if there is any kind of disaster across country. And this is also something where the focus and attention is desired. Indian Railways, just I would like to describe and touch in terms of couple of key features. It is very close to our heart, and now with this Vande Bharat and such kind of glorious say history we have, it's really a sector which makes all of us say proud. So it has a history of more than 160 years. It's a perfect example of both traditional and modern system. At one side, we certainly started with the steam engine, then we moved to the diesel engine, then we gained the traction through electrical. More than 95% routes are electrified, and then now just here on 16th April we had celebrated National Rail Day, and ex-chairman Railway Board and many other eminent figure, they delivered that talk. So already in the coming month, Indian Railway is experimenting with the hydrogen fuel, and that would be one more advancement in the history of railways. So I would consider this organization as an exemplary case of resilient organization. It has survived. 160 years is not just a small window, progressed, and it has served unstoppable. Let it be COVID or any other. We cannot just push all our requirements and needs of the passengers or the citizens to aviation sector. So without railway, we cannot realize our life, and that is where it has also committed and served unstoppable. There are lots of research opportunities, and across globe people they are always showing tremendous interest. Either it is exploration of engineering, technology, or policy planning in the railways, and it is a lifeline of millions of people in India. So as I mentioned, it is a resilient, adaptable, and flexible organization. But yes, uh, I must make a mention as a part of this presentation, which is focusing on the overall development of transportation and logistics sector. Rail is one component, but many a times we are mistaken. We do not give adequate leverage and importance to all the 12 verticals of logistics. So any particular university or maybe the center or industry or government, they really have to ensure the holistic development of the transport and logistics sector. Then there are 12 verticals. One of them is warehousing, where significant development is taking place in India. Land transportation, cold chain solutions, we are extremely lacking in this particular area, and that is where more than 30 to 40% our agriculture produce and perishable items, they get really spoiled. Courier and express industry, yes, India has witnessed a good number and quality of services in this area. E-commerce is booming. So this is the sixth pillar in this 12 vertical. Port terminals, inland container depots, container freight stations, air cargo handling, freight forwarding and customs. Typically in aviation and this ports and shipping, this area is extremely critical, because many places, typically when you are crossing the border, it may take more than 1 month or 2 months to get the clearances, because the clearance formats are different, and compliances requires many a times lot of duplication of effort and diverse kind of requirements from country to country. Then marine services, shipping and inland waterways, supply chain solutions, yes, on which we all are working. Liquid logistics, we cannot ignore the pipe and gas. Rail logistics. So I just put intentionally rail logistics as the last one when I emphasized about the importance of rail right at the beginning. So unless we really capture the competitiveness in these 12 verticals, we cannot really ensure the holistic development which we are looking for the multimodal logistics in India. So we have key challenges that are faced by transportation and logistics sector in India as well as across the globe. One is transportation challenges. So as we understand, transportation is a subset of logistics and the supply chain. So I would like to focus on a couple of challenges pertaining to transportation. Bulk order intensity ratio. Third is hike in fuel cost, unforeseen delay in transportation, dearth of skilled personnel, and sixth is inadequate and overstressed delivery staff. So going by say a couple of say more intricacies and the nuances of each challenge, then transportation we really need to move cargoes from road to rail, and 60% cargo or 70% cargo move by road, wherein only 30% is by rail, which is really not quite, say, appealing and welcoming scenario concerning about the environmental sustainability and economy both. So majority of the supply chain moves by road, but it is not without a fair amount of hiccups, and significant burden on road transport leads to traffic congestion, accidents, difficulty in maintenance of roads. So whatever amount of infrastructure we may build, we have built very good national highways, we have invested a use in flyovers, highways, and other infrastructure, but we cannot really have 5 times or 3 times more land than what we can really we really possess. So there is no other way. We have to exploit economies of scale through bulk transport in rail. The second challenge that we are facing is bulk order intensity ratio. So we are struggling with this particular ratio in terms of timeliness is one of the Herculean tasks for transport company. So we all expect our deliveries to be in time, lead time to be minimized. So in the instance of high volume orders typically received, and they often it gets difficult to prioritize and juggle orders and deliveries on an extremely tight timeline. So this is something where bulk order intensity ratio comes into play, and this struggle has been extremely experienced during the festival time, where you have to meet the tight delivery schedules. The third one, as we experience, is hike in fuel cost. So fuel cost certainly adds significantly to logistics cost, and inflation is one of the major concern. Unforeseen delay in transportation, it is obviously because of huge traffic congestion, multiple checkpoints, toll stations, and fifth is dearth of skilled personnel. This already I have touched, and that is where this specialized university is established. If you look at the last mile delivery sector, then it is growing significantly, but the quality of life of people in logistics sector at present, when we talk about sustainability and social, is one of the dimension. So certainly the quality of employees life and workers life matters. So they are highly stressed. The amount of coordination and the kind of day-to-day hassle involved, it is tremendous, and this is something where transparency, IT solutions, and skilled manpower is really required. So previously, even 20 years back, if you say procurement or supply chain, they would just say it is a procurement division, or any commerce guy can handle this. Then during last 2 to 3 decades, people gain the momentum, importance of this particular profession, and it has been realized that now there is a need for skilled human resource to improve the competitiveness. So similarly, not only at the strategic level but at the operations level, India needs highly skilled manpower in transportation and logistics sector. Coming to the third point of my talk, that is opportunities in transportation and logistics sector. I look at the opportunity from technology perspective, that I would call it as infrastructure and services. As I mentioned, as per national logistic policy, this falls into the domain of policy. So, couple of challenges I could gather quickly, and I feel that if we really work on these challenges and adoption of technology, that is the infrastructure and service enablement, then it can really help to improve the competitiveness of our logistics sector. So, adoption of 5 and 6G network, on which India is progressing well, and we cannot really miss now the boom in semiconductor and this network technology. So we might have missed two waves earlier, industrial revolution and other, but now India is really committed to gain the traction in the sector of, say, sensor technology, network building, and so on. Automating and streamlining the hiring process for drivers. So even you look at the road transport, then the quality of life of truck drivers and their skills are highly questionable. So I'm touching, say, quite an operational issue, but that also requires significant attention, skilling, and focusing on the quality of life. When they run the truck maybe for 24 hours or 48 hours, or sometimes almost a week, I don't think they have really a reasonable facility on the way to accommodate their personal needs. And on the other side, they do lack the skills and health checkups and other issues. So in the developed country, this domain is very well handled, and it has a direct impact on the accidents and other logistics productivity. Extensive use of AI, where we can recognize the data, we can reveal the patterns, create optimal routes, calculate the cheapest logistics options, and already Ola, Uber, and many other solutions, they have proved that yes, it has a significant impact, and that is where we now really need to develop the technology for multimodal logistics in India. Integrated use of augmented reality and IoT is another domain where you can simulate the situation, you can experience the reality, and while that reality is simulated, you can link it with the IoT based technology and derive the better solutions for the complex problems. That can be network optimization or route selection. Businesses will be investing in data technologies. Drone plus rail intermodal is one of the booming area, and to provide an advanced TMS at a low price for small carriers, and due to shortage of workers, tap into support supply chain processes and so on. I would just like to touch PM Gati Shakti Master Plan, which is an enabling mechanism, and the pillars are designed to facilitate the growth of transport and logistics sector in India. So if you look at the overall concept of PM Gati Shakti, then it is the whole of government approach for integrated and holistic planning. There are more than 800 to 900 data layers. So these data layers means it may be the Ministry of Railways, it may be the Ministry of Agriculture, it may be the government policies and regulations. Now I want to undertake a unified and integrated planning where I can minimize redoing of the work. Suppose railway wants to establish the tracks and they want to identify what is the go no go area in a typical way, or what is the dispute free land, or what is the optimal route that can even connect and road and rail more productively, then all this can be easily done with this PM Gati Shakti toolkit and approach. So it is all about multimodal connectivity and improving logistics efficiency. This is based on GIS platform, and BISEC, Bhaskaracharya Institute in Gandhinagar, is recognized by Government of India as the nodal agency. So now if any ministry they want to undertake infrastructure creation project, then they have to obtain the approval from this BISEC, and typically they work with the satellite images, GI based platforms, and they have huge data layers available by which they can help to identify the appropriate routes and areas for creating infrastructure. On the other hand, we have institutional mechanism. So it is at the central and state and UT, all the level. So we have empowered group of secretaries, network planning and technical support. So all both these institutions, that is, one is the GIS based platform provided by BISEC, and central and state level ministries, they work together to really create the sound, sustainable and necessary infrastructure as a part of PM Gati Shakti in country. There are 6 pillars as described by PM Gati Shakti Master Plan. One is comprehensiveness, that is about activities of every department visible to other. So road should not plan anything in isolation and not considering the connectivity with the rail or port, where we are really targeting the multimodal logistics connectivity and improving our logistics efficiency. Prioritization, cross-sectoral interaction enabled. So many a times we have seen that underground pipeline or sewage pipeline or maybe cables are laid down just after the roads are constructed in the city, and citizens, they face a lot of trouble. So this kind of planning clearly indicates that there is lack of prioritization and information sharing across ministries, across department, and that is where PM Gati Shakti plays a critical role. Optimization, I think, something where OR people and computer science people work hard. So assigning in planning projects and after identification of critical gaps. Synchronization, it is about synchronizing the activities holistically. Analytical, plan to provide all data in one place. And dynamic, that is GIS department for all government bodies. So the overall picture, if you see, then we are trying to revolutionize the planning process. So please try to consider my deliberation on this topic as, at one side when I am highlighting the challenges, on the other side when I have shared the aspirations, it is also important to appreciate in what direction our country and research is moving and how we can really create an enabling ecosystem to realize the higher competitiveness of this sector in next decade. So all these projects, I have just given the information for your use. Maybe I will share this PPT. So dedicated freight corridor, almost say more than 70% of India's goods train will move this through this two corridor. Almost more than 95% work is completed. Eastern corridor is on the way. Western corridor is already created, and there are two dedicated freight corridor that will allow the rail to move maybe by more than 50 speed of 50 or 60, and that will really help us to move the traffic from road to rail. Bharatmala, that creates the golden quadrilateral and creates the sound road network. Sagarmala, it is about ports and creating 14 coastal zones and its associated infrastructure, and Udan is about aviation. I would just quickly share, keeping the remaining time and the interest of the audience in mind, my recent research contributions in transportation and logistics. So I just picked three papers to highlight maybe the kind of issues we have explored and the kind of methodology we applied, and some of the recommendations and policy insights that we have extended. So two papers got published in Transport Policy, and other is published in Journal of Cleaner Production. So the first one is evaluation of benefits due to adoption of enablers of unimodal road to intermodal railroad freight transportation. As repeatedly I am mentioning that at one side we are creating the infrastructure, but only creating the infrastructure is not enough unless we really create the enabling, say, service system, enabling policy. Our stakeholders or the users will really, industry will really not feel motivated to move from, say, road purely road-based transport to maybe railroad transport or intermodal railroad transport. So this is something we tried to explore as a part of this research. So that there is an adverse environmental consequences because of significant loading on the road, and certainly this sets the premise and motivation for this research, that in what way the service providers and logistics managers can be motivated to shift the modal share or experience the benefits of moving from unimodal transportation, that is road based, to intermodal railroad transportation. So IRR in developing nation is quite low, intermodal railroad transport, and there are modal shift enablers, we call it as MSEs, that facilitate IRR adoption, while modal shift benefits signify favorable performance outcomes from MSE's application. So the point here we are just trying to say emphasize or prove that at one side I have enablers, on the other side I have benefits which are called MSBs, and enablers are called MSEs. So what way I can really invoke the enablers by extending the modal shift benefits to the industry. So typically research ranks the MSBs, that is modal shift benefits, resulting from adoption of MSEs, that is modal shift enablers, in IRR freight. So once you have done this, I think it would really help in policy formulation, that what is really benefiting me. Even we talk about the geographical diversity, so the products which would work maybe in Madras may not work in Gujarat, and hence I have mentioned in my later slide that the transport behavior is one of the issue, and network design without considering the transport and the consumer behavior cannot really be designed sustainably. So here we really need to prioritize the MSBs and see that in what way we can relate it with MSCs, that is modal shift enablers, to formulate the desired policies. I'm not going into the depth of methodology, you can refer it from the paper, but just I want to mention that AHP is quite a well-known methodology in research analytic hierarchy process. It includes subjective judgment, provides enough freedom to experts and all, but somewhere it has also been realized that the classic AHP or the vanilla flavor of AHP is quite sensitive to the level of fuzziness and uncertainty, and that is something where we could find that SF AHP. So there are many variants. I am not just trying to overemphasize on this, but yes, spherical AHP is one of the recent version, and we tried with that in order to say minimize the impact on the final result because of the variability and uncertainty in the expert judgment. On the other end, similarly, we use the SF Topsys methodology, integrated the use of these two methodology to improve the robustness of the results. Couple of managerial implications we could derive based on this particular study. First, logistics managers and practitioners, they actively participate in the engagement with policymaker if, let us say, we appropriately advocate for and adopt policy measures promoting the modal shift from unimodal to IRR. So this has been unanimously been realized that yes, there has to be a strong motivation, and in that regard, what we could derive that by strategically aligning with policies to reduce vehicle pollution and negative externalities, practitioners and industries, they have improved environmental conditions and public health can contribute rather, and this particular finding helped us to derive the fact that logistics managers of TSP should consider the strategic location of terminals with ample capacity near source and sink locations, and this approach can substantially help to improve the transit times. It can facilitate the seamless transfer and ultimately optimize the logistics network. The another finding that I will just touch one or two findings quickly, that to foster modal balance, that is what we are repeatedly telling, how can we balance out rail and road as the modal share between these two. So here we recommend that practitioners should advocate for formulating fresh subsidy mechanisms for intermodal railroad freight transport sector, and integrating this sustainability focused policy encourages a modal shift in aligning business goals with the environmental preservation. So no business would like to compromise with their profit, but yes, if they realize the benefits, including an economical benefit, then the enablement of this intermodal railroad transport would become quite easy. So there are a couple of concerns and contributions of this research. Growth of freight transportation industry is essential for national economic development. We all agree. An extensive utilization of road-based freight transport has substantially contributed to rise of adverse externalities, that is pollution and traffic accidents, and hence there is a strong need for policy formulation for IRR, and for that policy formulation these researchers prioritize the benefits which are linked with the enablers. The another research which we published in Journal of Cleaner Production has prioritized solutions to mitigate the risk. Fine. And the first research we tried to investigate the benefits which are linked with the enablers, but there are certain potential risks. So not going into much detail, but just to emphasize that as a part of this research, we also tried to investigate this risk, so that we can make our policies in transportation and logistics sector as a part of NLB more sound and sustainable. So this research has used, maybe those who are interested bit in research, SFBBWM approach, that is Bayesian based worst method approach. And basically, if I just tell the crux, then the other Bayesian based approach or plain Bayesian based approach requires more number of comparisons when you go for multi-criteria decision making, but our comparison has significantly gone down, which is one of the factor where our research quality gets compromised or findings, and that is where this SFBBM has helped in achieving the robust results. The third research is again in the domain of railways, but here we tried to examine the sustainable performance of rail freight transportation using triple bottom line approach. So SRFT and TBL, these are the two important areas we integrated, triple bottom line approach and SRFT. Now, as you know that when you examine the sustainability related measures, it's not good to only look at maybe recent data or maybe past 2-3 years data. So considering this fact, we carried out content analysis using the annual reports, yearbooks and annual statistical statements which are published between 2007-8 and 2021, that may be related to the freight traffic in railway, that may be related to emission factor, and it may be energy consumption, accident rate. So we considered almost more than 13 to 14 years of period in order to arrive at certain insights. So these are some of the facts about energy consumption, carbon dioxide emission. It was about transportation 16.7%, nation's total energy usage, and so on. So we examined three factors, as I mentioned: environmental indicators, economic indicators, and social indicators in order to derive at the policies. I'm just leaving a couple of equations for your personal reference, which we have used as a reference to say calculate the total GHG emission by electric traction. Yes, we have moved from diesel to electric traction, but still we have to consider the greenhouse emission and diesel traction because we are operating with both. So yes, moving from diesel to electric traction has significant advantage, but in addition to that, we recommend that RORO service, that is roll on roll off, would be the right direction for the modal shift. And when you offer the integrated service, roll on roll off, then your customer or client would really feel motivated to move bulk through rail. And this is something where rail is experimenting in the various regions. So there are various challenges I just summarized for Indian Railways, and various initiatives Indian Railway has taken to improve their acceptability as a part of multimodal transportation, and GSV is acting as an enabler to make these aspirations and the actions realized as fast as possible. So concluding with a couple of important insights for researchers as well as practitioners, having connected with the researching domain in logistics and transportation, and reviewing the papers, contributing as the editorial board member, what I could realize that one of the important area to explore for researcher is transport economics, including cost and production functions. We cannot just examine transportation in isolation and just consider production and the cost associated at one side, because if you are achieving the economies of scale in transportation and logistics, and if you are experiencing diseconomies of scale or negative externalities at the production stage, I think this will offset each other and would not result into any tangible benefit. So this is something where the economic analysis considering cost and production function, capacity, demand, pricing, externalities, both positive and negative, and modal studies is required. Traffic flow analysis, I found one of the emerging area for an optimal design of transport network. And traffic flow analysis, when you really carry out, then transport behavior and transport behavior enabled infrastructure and policy really has a critical role to play. We are building the transport infrastructure, but on the other end, we also need to develop the tools as a researcher to apprise the investment and the usage of this infrastructure periodically. So this is another promising area. Evaluation of public policies related to transportation. So today we build a lot of scenario, even we published a couple of paper with system dynamics approach. And this is something where I don't want to just examine the policy for next 2 to 3 years, because I am building the infrastructure for next 30 years. How can I have a policy only for next 5 years? So this is something where I feel that the real assessment and the development of framework would really help. Life cycle assessment of passenger mobility technologies, services and schemes. Physical and cyber security. I was just discussing with Professor Narayan Swamy, and it's really great that he is supporting this particular area. And cyber security, with immense data we are handling, traceability issues is really the need of day. Integrated evaluation of climate neutral mobility policies. Here I see the tremendous scope of applying game theoretic approach. Who wins, who loses, when, where, and how. Unless we address this, I think 5 to 6 questions, our climate policies are really not climate neutral. As I mentioned, if you improve the use of, let us say, electric vehicle, yes, simultaneously you study the consumption of electricity for that and amount of emission we are producing maybe elsewhere to support these electric vehicles. Then impact assessment of adoption of smart technologies, and policy and strategy concerns in transport are wide and they cover safety, efficiency, economic development, infrastructure, environment, and so on. Just finishing in time, I hope, and last 2 slides. Logistics recommendations for my audience coming from industry. Logistics should be seen as a competitive weapon. We are emphasizing this repeatedly. I would also like to stress upon this one more time, that please use this as the competitive weapon and hence associated investment in associated policies and infrastructure development. So for both manufacturing and service, irrespective of this nature of business size and scale, many a time small business they say that logistics is not our cup of tea or it hardly matters. But no, it has been proven whether you are a small or big industry, you are part of supply chain, and logistics cannot be ignored. Logistics analysis is a key to improve the capacity utilization across value chain. It's linking. When we talk about supply chain, the blood of supply chain is basically logistics and transport. It is important for a company to decide an optimal service level for the prevailing competition to maximize their total revenue. What I mean to say here, that not that 95 service level is good for everyone or 99%. In madness of achieving the extreme service level, you are inviting the diseconomies of scale and negative externalities. So it is better to be sound and say wise while choosing the service level. Otherwise, simply we would be flooded with huge capacity unused. Design of transport and logistics network is a strategic issue and has a long-term implications for business. And integrated use of blockchain and IoT is the next weapon to really achieve competitiveness and sustainability. And couple of few insights I just posted which may help you people to introspect. And the last one, you see, design the transport network and associated logistics. At present, even if we are building a lot of infrastructure, or any company is building the infrastructure, I see more a top down approach, where we are expecting that the demand would be created by deploying the infrastructure. But we must understand in India that demand patterns across country are different, because the consumer behaviors are different, their spending patterns are different. And if you create the infrastructure in this line, that is through top down approach, I think many places your warehouses, your national infrastructure would remain unutilized. Just to support my argument, let us say we have a network of automobile industry across India. Now, when we are planning the infrastructure, it's better to have bottom-up approach in designing the network and creating the multimodal infrastructure, rather than imposing them the infrastructure and expecting them to align with those infrastructural needs. So this is quite a big work, because we are not only looking at one sector, we are looking at multiple sector. So as a part of your this particular center, FedEx, it is about smart and sustainable supply chain. There is a lot of work I know going on in the AI powered supply chain. So requirement planning, sourcing and procurement, manufacturing, quality assurance, logistics, delivery, we are flooded with huge data. But there is a need to deploy this, recognize the patterns within this data and deploy it for the various actions like quality assurance through computer vision, delivery logistics, self-driving delivery trucks, drones. So this data is a backbone, and this data is derived from various functions like requirement and planning to logistics and delivery. And this should not be utilized in silos, rather for multiple, say, domains of smart supply chain like computer vision and quality checks, or smart deliveries and self-driving delivery trucks, integrated production planning with real-time risk mitigation, predictive maintenance, which is one of the highly demanding issue in railways. We are now able to capture the data through sensor and IoT, but now we want to build the model which can help us to have better predictive maintenance. And same, this data needs to be invoked for material sourcing and optimal sourcing. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I am open to your queries and questions, or maybe the corrections and suggestions what you may like to extend. And I welcome you all to visit Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Jitesh, for a wonderful talk. I think you have covered starting from aspiration goals of logistics as a problem at national level, to the AI and advancements happening. And I'm very happy you touched upon the issues like the staff, overstressed staff, the social sustainability aspects also. So we will have now a couple of questions. Professor Nari has written few questions. This is: are there standardized data sources as benchmarks?
See, yes, it's a very good question, and I also had this question honestly. But a couple of months back, when we made a visit, our team made a visit of this Bhaskaracharya Institute, we could see the quantum of work they have carried out. And as I mentioned, more than 872 data layers are created and superimposed to derive at the sound decisions. So certainly now the data repository is there, and standardization across various ministries took place. So if I believe whatever they have shown and they communicated, because they are acting as a nodal agency, then they invite the ministries to share their data set, and they help them to convert that into standardized platform, which then can be utilized across various layers to make the sound decisions. So some level of standardization of data I could see at this particular institute.
Yeah, and the subsequent question is, are there also data acquisition systems that are used for policy making?
Yes, data acquisition. See, if you talk about infrastructure, as I mentioned, that this institute, they use the images, satellite images taken by ISRO as their input at one side, and second, the data shared by ministry. So, means really, I would like to share what I learned. There is Dr. TP Singh, who is heading this institute, and when we asked him that how you really deal with this bureaucratic setup of government, and take the data, and whatever decision making you have to do, so he made it very clear in one of the diagram that we make them very clear that you are the owner and you are the collaborator. So ownership of the problem definition is with you. So it's more like a consulting approach, and I really liked it. So previously he said that we were really struggling, we were going to ministries and nobody was listening. Now because government has made it mandatory, we could meet many groups from defense and logic ports and shipping and many other. They are sitting there, they are working with them, they are giving them data, helping them to standardize, creating the data layers, and this kind of work is really taking place.
Okay, thank you. There is another question, Professor Jitesh, from Priyam. Thank you, sir, for the PPT. A particular challenge of importance could be building resilient and recovery for transport logistics infrastructure. May I have your comments on how to progress towards sustainable resilience and interplay of both in context of transport logistics beyond use of EV vehicles, electric vehicles? Yeah.
So see, Miss, it's a long question,
Yeah.
and maybe
Can I
if I just pick couple of points,
Yeah.
and certainly Professor Narayan and Professor Arshindar are there to help me out. So maybe Miss, together we can just resilient. Yes, you want to say that how can we bounce back, isn't it? If there is any kind of say a natural disaster or strike or accident or any kind of disaster. So yes, the answer, as repeatedly I mentioned, is to one is to have multimodal network, and not multimodal network through extensive this implementation of IoT and blockchain based technology, shared data ledger. Do we really have the network in which we can even move from one mode of transport to other under any such kind of crisis or situation? And that is where I see that yes, network can also have resiliency, just like you see the Ola and Uber, isn't it? On a real time basis they will divert the traffic. So now when it comes to maybe at a larger scale, yes, through technology this is also possible, and it's more about learning in advance. What we say predictive analysis or predictive maintenance, all this is all about learning in advance. So certainly I can divert my train from one route to other without compromising with destination, okay, or to other track, if I have this real time information available. So that is the resilience. What was the second point? Maybe
So,
just one
yeah,
word.
yeah. So this is on how to progress towards sustainable resilience and interplay of both in context of transport logistics beyond use of EV vehicles.
So see, EV vehicle, yes, it is a technological advancement. That is what we could realize. And tomorrow, as I mentioned, that we have almost electrified more than 95% of rail network. But yes, we started our experimentation with this hydrogen fuel trains, and it's not that just electric vehicle would say abolish all the existing fossil fuel technology and then we would progress more in sustainability. Yes, certain negative externalities will certainly come into play because you have to have electricity, and that electricity has to be produced somewhere else. So we are progressing in some direction which can really improve the sustainability. But here I would little bit like to be philosophical. It's more about consciousness. So I don't know. Means for me, Shinder knows I come by a rented auto. Not that I cannot purchase a car, but yes, it gives me a better feel of sustainability. Yes, I am contributing maybe 0.0001% rather owning my personal vehicle and only driving singly. I feel better. So it's more about somewhere consciousness also. At one side, technology will help, but on the other side, public awareness, when you talk about policy and the consciousness at the individual level, will certainly help us to improve upon sustainability dimension.
Thank you, Professor Jitesh. There is one more question. What are the opportunities for path planning engineers, uh, bracket road vehicle, with PhD in Gati, Shakti and outside? So this is in the chat window, you can
Okay.
also read. What are the opportunities for path planning engineers with PhD in the Gati, Shakti and outside?
See now, as I mentioned that we at one side we have the OR based models, and on the other side today we make use of sophisticated technology, that is RS, GIS, remote sensing, and satellite data. So as we discussed, and we are in the process of signing some MOU with this BISEC, so they need a lot of optimization tools for path planning and network development. Okay, मान लीजिए रेलवे को अपना नेटवर्क एक्सपांड करना है, okay, whatever example is coming to my mind, और रोड को करना है. So then they will approach this academic institution, means us, and this kind of sophisticated laboratories. So they need lot of OR based models, and we learned that yes, they have the data, but they need optimization tools. So yes, there is a very good opportunity to develop OR models for the sophisticated data which is captured through, say, this the satellite images and processed through RS and GIS technology. So I see that this integration part really requires optimization and OR modeling for in network planning.
Thank you. This question was by Ajit Jogi. Yeah. So I in chat window there is no other question. Anyone want to comment, or they can raise hand, and then you can even unmute and ask any other question.
Uh, Good afternoon, Professor Jitesh Thakkar. I'm Rajendran here, Professor Rajendran here.
Yes, sir. I request your blessing, sir.
My pleasure to meet with you after a long
Yes,
time.
sir.
And thank you for enlightening lecture. And we really look forward to work with you in
We
future.
refer your paper, sir. So,
Okay. Thank you. Really look forward to working with you. Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you. Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Our pleasure
Thank
to
you, sir.
listen to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So please give me some suggestions also. Means see, I have, as I mentioned, I have limited knowledge. This is quite a vast area, and there are many eminent scholars and researchers working in the contemporary area. So you can also add value to this session or give some suggestions. I welcome.
Sure, sir. Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, I have learned extensively as a computer scientist from your lecture, especially a lot about the terminology and the whole ecosystem. Your presentation has been a single point of single data source, which kind of is very useful to me as a person who kind of abstracts out logistics when we design algorithmic questions. So really, it was very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, I second both the professors. Like we myself and Professor Jitesh, we were colleagues. We are colleagues, good friends. So I've been an opportunity to continue learning from him. And today's, as Professor Narayan Swami have said, you have covered almost every aspect of logistics. starting from the inception of Gati Shakti initiative to the interception this AI and related technologies, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, so everything has you have touched upon. I'm sure this is a very good presentation for research scholars, students, and thanks for bringing something for executives also, like where industry can also take help of such lectures and the pointers which you have given to them. So thank you very much, Professor
I also request in future if any such seminar is there, maybe you please share the link,
Sure.
and together we can learn. And I would like to attend the webinar.
That's what, Professor Jitesh, we are doing
So
that, as and
we are a
when.
very small group, and I think means we can learn from each other's work.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing this. So we have done this initiative as and when we are having speakers, we are including all the speakers and attendees, in our list. And every subsequent a seminar, we send them invite. And thank you very much for volunteering this thing.
Yeah.
To asking for this. And we look forward. We formally look forward to work with your institute. We will come back to you. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming here. Thanks to the all audience, participants who are here. Thanks to Professor Narayan Swami for, managing, all the logistics of, this lecture.
Yes. Great thing.
Thanks to Geeta Madam and our, students team, which is there, right? And Gautam and all. So we have disseminated. Thanks to IIT Madras for disseminating, this seminar to all. So
And thanks to FedEx.
thanks to FedEx.
Special thanks to FedEx.
Thanks to FedEx. Yes, thanks
Yes.
to FedEx, and thanks to Reddington also. They have been so kind, in collaborating. So we'll look forward, for more such kind of collaborative initiatives with you, with Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Wish you all the best. Have a great day.
see you in the next seminar.
See you in the next seminar. Yes, that's true. Thank you.
Thank you.